Hey everyone, my name is Zaid, and I'm going to be answering some questions for you. A big question that I recently read that I wanted to shine some light on is, when did you know you will make it slash be successful in your career? And I think that's a great question for someone that's in their younger years and trying to figure out what they want to do for the rest of their life. First of all, I think that once you're on the younger side, you haven't had that much experience, or you have had experience, but you still the experiences are not something you want to pursue for the rest of your life. So you're constantly in this pursuit of finding out what you want to do. I can tell you that I right now I'm actually doing what I've thought I wanted to do at the age of 18, 19, 20. I'm actually doing that right now. And as I do that, the more I discover that it's not necessarily about what I wanted to do, but it's about what I'm able to become in the process of achieving what I thought I wanted to achieve. So for example, I've always wanted to go into business. I wanted to always start my own business. I just never knew which sector I was actually going to involve myself in. But I knew that I will eventually get there. When did I know this? Around the age of 18, 19, I already knew this, probably around 19. But there were experiences prior to that, from the age of 14 to 19, that really solidified that the idea that I do want to do this. However, definitely as I approach it and as I become closer and closer to uh, uh, working as a business person, I realize it's a lot different than what I thought. I think that goes without saying. It's kind of like when you're in high school or an undergrad and you're like, yeah, I want to become a doctor, but you don't really know what it is like to become a doctor. You only know that, okay, you're 18, you know that you're going to go to undergrad for 4 years. If you're in North America, then you're going to at least do 4 years of medical school and then do a minimum of 2 or 3 year residency. So you know what that potentially looks like, especially when you're in second year of undergrad, third year of undergrad. So you're like, okay, it's just going to become more and more difficult in terms of the educational side, more studying, more exams, harder tests, some board exams sprinkled in there, but then eventually residency, and then this transition to practice. And when that transition to practice is a real thing, because once you actually graduate residency, or you graduate optometry in my case, which I didn't need to do residency, and I need to get as comfortable as possible in diagnosing different ocular conditions, be very proficient in relating ocular manifestations of systemic conditions, and having a treatment plan in place, and making sure that I'm referring to the right physicians when the problem occurs and a problem. But the transition to practice part is is a whole beast in itself. Whereas you need to start looking at the billing side of things and how the clinic actually runs financially, and overhead, staffing costs, um, the cost to acquire goods. So there's a lot of a lot of knowledge base there that actually takes a few years for most fresh graduates to actually learn, especially if they haven't started their own practice from scratch, which was in my case. But coming back to the question, when did you know you will make it slash be successful in your career? I actually knew that once I started doing some things in my life that I thought were extremely difficult to do and or very valuable. So if I'm doing things that are easy, then I know that anybody could do it. So that doesn't really build confidence at all. So if I'm going to go and write an easy test or have an easy degree, that really didn't like build confidence within me. But if I did something that was very valuable to my parents, to my friends, to society, then then that could start building some confidence that can actually translate to things down the road. For me, it was a couple of things. I played volleyball for 10 plus years and played club volleyball and played around North America. Uh, so playing in these competitions, but taking myself from a average level to a club level player to someone who becomes a captain of the team, et cetera, et cetera. Eventually, in undergrad, I actually stopped playing, but then I picked it up in second or third year of undergrad again. And picking it back up and taking that as a challenge that, hey, I'm gonna become better than I was previously, even though I played 5 years of club volleyball, played high school volleyball, and it was very involved. And now I was all in my career. But I'm like, no, I'm going to work out and I'm going to play volleyball at a very high level. It's gonna be a something that I do for myself. And so I decided, okay, I'm gonna work out every single day for the next year. I decided this in third year of undergrad. And that that was a big challenge. I think that's a challenge that a lot of people have to uh, go through a body transformation and to do something that you can commit to every single day. That's very difficult to do. That requires a lot of discipline. Then to do it every day, but do it for a whole year. And I was able to achieve that. And I learned a lot of things on the way about myself. The biggest thing that I learned about myself is the fact that I'm actually the biggest critic of myself, and I'm the one that's actually holding myself back from all the types of success that's actually there to be had. Um, David Goggins says this one line, and I think it's very accurate. The most important conversation that you're ever going to have is the conversation that you have with yourself. So your self talk is everything. Self talk is the conversation that you have within yourself throughout the day. So when you wake up and it's kind of early, maybe you didn't get the amount of hours of sleep that you want to, you're like, oh, let's just go to sleep. But you convince yourself, no, I said I'm going to go work out. So I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go to the gym. Right? Like you could do this. You come on, come on. All you have to do is get out of bed. Let me just get out of bed. Let me just wash my face, and we'll go from there. If I still feel tired, I'll come back to sleep. It's that type of a mindset that you're constantly always pushing yourself a little bit more, and you're never giving in to that inner voice which says go back to sleep, which says just rest, you know, uh just take it easy for today, you know, your legs are feeling a little tired. There is a difference between over pushing yourself and becoming injured. I have definitely fallen in the culprit of that, but that's actually for very few people. Most people don't push themselves to that point, and you need to know where your boundaries are, but you won't know until you push beyond those boundaries. So you have to have great control over your self-talk. That is the key. That is the absolute key to success. Once I actually worked out for a whole year, it was a whole journey. I realized my diet wasn't good after 3 months. I ended up changing my diet, and I got way more results than I ever did. I realized I need to sleep, 6 to 7 hours at least, anywhere between 6 and 8 hours. And I got way more consistent sleep. I was able to sleep on a dime. My anxiety level, my stress levels actually were much better controlled once I started working out. They weren't they were completely gone. Just if you think you work out and it's gonna solve all your problems, that's not necessarily true either. But working out puts you in a great position to come out of that stress mindset, to come out of those struggles that you have within your psyche. So highly recommend doing that. After that year, I just had I just had built up the consistency and the hard work at a level I've never experienced before. And every step of the way, whenever I went to the gym, it was all about dominating that workout almost every goddamn day. And when you're in the gym that much, you can't go 100% every day, because you need to actually give yourself time for recovery as well. So some of the workouts were more, let me get blood flow just going into the body for recovery. But the consistency of going to the gym and spending time at the gym was there. I remember one time I went to the gym for like 4.5 hours, and I come home and the parents are like, "Oh, so who did you go meet after your workout?" I'm like, "No one." It's a funny story, but that was actually the gym for like 4.5 hours. It involved like warming up, working out, then played some sports, and I think I had like a mini workout afterwards, and I had another protein shake, and then came home, and it was like almost half a day endeavor. But I was that consistent. Like I don't like time just flew by like this when you're that focused. And once I had that success of going to the gym, it did a lot for my self-confidence, also did a lot for my self-talk that I never really made connections of before. And that I was able to translate into everything in my life. It also gave me the confidence that, like, I never thought I could do something like that. So, gave me the confidence that I can do something if I put my mind to it. And if I can do this, why can't I do a professional program? Or why can't I become a doctor? Why can't I become a business owner? Why can't I do X, Y, Z? And it really opened up my brain to accept that I potentially can do a lot of these things. And so, when did I know that I'll make it or be successful in my career? I don't, for my definition of success, I'm not there yet. Absolutely. But I'm definitely on my way there. But when did I know that I could be that person? It was actually during those times. So not only was I able to do a complete body transformation, I was at like 8% body fat. I was having 5 meals a day, about 180 to 200 grams of protein. Did that for multiple years. But so it completely changed my body, but it changed my mind. That was the most important thing. I knew after that point that if I can do this, well, what's holding me back from doing anything else? And so I became a much more risk taker and also someone who's able to believe in themselves way more. And that did a lot for me. That also translated into me performing at a very high level for volleyball too. Like just the fact that I was in the gym all the time, and I was only playing in a league like once a week during that time. But because my physique was so well conditioned, I really didn't need to get many more reps in to play at a pretty decent level. And so that was definitely a great side benefit as well for sports. Um, After that, writing some board exams and doing really well in that also built up a lot of confidence as well. But going into optometry school, I didn't know if I was going to be a successful student. I didn't know if I was going to have great marks or average marks or low marks. And going through the whole process of optometry school, I was committed there just like I was committed in my workouts. Every single day, I would study 10 hours, 12 hours a day, even including weekends. I would take no days off. And I did that for basically 4 years straight, to the point where I actually have back problems because of it now, because I overstudied, and or I guess overworked. But when I was actually in school, there's another thing I want to connect this to. When I was in school, I doubted myself that if I can get 90s or if I can get hundreds on exams and if I can do really, really well, and am I going to pass boards and I'm going to come out as a licensed doctor, I doubted myself if that's going to happen. One of the reasons was because there's multiple um, uh, students in my first year that actually didn't make it to second year, so that caused a lot of anxiety. But I was extremely committed. When I look back now, I don't even know why I questioned myself, but that self-doubt is the thing that was there, and that self-talk, was not as good as it could have been. Because if it was there and if I knew that that committed, there's just no way that I would not make it through, right? And when I look back at it now, I'm like, I don't know why I even doubted myself. And so what I my learning experience from that was, hey, I need to this would be my recommendation. You should do things that you think are very, very difficult. Once you choose to actually do them, go all in and do not have any doubt. Okay. Be very confident. And even if you do fail, that's okay. You can always do it again. But you want to put yourself self in a position to aim for things that you think are respectable, that you think are tough. And once you actually start achieving them, even if you get its smallest one little win, for example, I don't know, if you're playing sports, making into the starting lineup, or if you're in school and typically you don't get good marks, just get one good mark on one test. Okay. And that can start that effect of building that self confidence. All you need is good self talk. Okay. You need to be able to convince yourself that you can do this. And the second thing is that you need to back that up with work. And eventually when the results kick in, you will definitely have that snowball effect of m- having your trajectory towards where you want to succeed. I hope that was helpful.